I want to get into some massive momentum tonight. Are we good? Yeah! What about the cussing section back there? Everyone good back there? All right. You guys sit in the back, you think you can cuss a little bit under your breath. It's all cool. You can say it up here too. We're just going to say it like it is tonight. Well, guys, my name is Doug Wood, and it is a complete honor to be in Lexington, Kentucky. Yesterday was the first time I've ever been in your beautiful state, and I was telling Corey and I was telling Mark today at lunch that, y'all, this is absolutely gorgeous and stunning. And you know what? This is the closest that has taken me back to Scottsdale, because I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. And y'all, since we left Scottsdale, so you understand, May 7th, my wife, Thea, and I, she would be standing right here right now. Every other event, she is like right here by me. But her and the kids had to get back to Portland, Oregon for a very important wedding. And how many of you know you make a commitment you do not cancel? Yeah. Right? We are big on making commitment and not canceling on ourselves or other people. Because for the longest time, I used to cancel on myself. Okay, and that's the first person never to cancel on. If I was to ask any of you tomorrow morning, you want to have coffee at 6 a.m. and you agreed to it, not that you wanted to, but let's just say you did want to, and you and I made a commitment to get together tomorrow morning and have coffee tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. down at the local Starbucks, and we committed to it, how many of you would be there, right? But how many of you, if you committed to the gym right now and the alarm goes off at 5:15 tomorrow morning, nobody else is going to meet you at the gym, but only you know if you're going to be there or not, how many of you might just hit the snooze alarm, right? We have a tendency of canceling on ourselves, okay? So we made a commitment to somebody in Portland, Oregon, that we would be at their wedding, and you know what? We couldn't be in two places at once, so Tia and the kids caught a flight today to head to Portland, and myself, I'm here, and it's awesome to be in this beautiful state, because it's been raining since May 7th. I kid you not. The team and I have been traveling, and we started in Phoenix, and we went over to San Diego. About the time we pulled out of Scottsdale towards San Diego, like the rain started coming. And I'm talking, I visited the Noah's Ark thing 2 days ago. Y'all, it might as well have been Noah's Ark throughout the whole West Coast, because we've been dumped on. And I'm like, okay, take me back to Arizona. And finally we rolled into town 2 days ago. And I tell you what, the sun is shining on your beautiful state. It reminds me of Arizona. So, you know, it's interesting because I did write a book. And how many of you know most people judge a book by its cover? At least I do. Okay, so I figured why not give people something to judge? Because they're judging anyway, so give them something good to judge. Well, that's what happened was I wrote a book here. And I wrote it in January. Wrote the book in 4 days. And I don't know where you're at in your life, but I wrote this book for my kids, and I wrote it for me 10 years ago. If someone would have handed me a book to help me get out of the massive funk I was in 10 years ago, I would have, first of all, accepted the book, but I would have put it on the shelf. So the first thing is being open to reading. But two, if you're like me, you haven't read a book since high school. And let's just be real honest. I never read a book in high school. Okay? Cliff Notes. I can breeze through this thing, get enough to fulfill the book report, right? To ace the book report. I don't need to read this book, right? Back in the day, that's cheating. Okay? But I don't think it's cheating. I just think it's, today is called Google or, whatever. So we roll with it. But I wrote this book, and I wanted to not only write a book, but I wanted to deliver a book to where somebody who says, I'm not a reader, Doug, that you would read the book or that you would listen to the book. So I made a commitment to put the book out on all platforms. Okay, I put it on audio. I read it myself. Literally, I sat there and just read a book to myself in a microphone for about 3 days, okay? Put it on PDF. I put it on hardback. I put emojis in the book. How many of you, it's interesting how we all talk slang with each other, but then people get real serious when they give a speech. You ever notice that? It sound all polished. And I'm like, I am not polished. Yo, I barely graduated high school, okay? Anybody else barely graduate high school? And when I say barely, okay, I'm the only one. Okay, 2 of us. I'm glad to hear that there's 2 of us here that barely graduated high school. Okay, I'm serious. I was a part of the Leave Doug Not Left Behind class. Okay, it was like, just get Doug out of here. He's more of a problem creator than he is a added benefit to society. And seriously, they would say stuff like that to me. But my wife and I went through quite a season. We got married in May of 2000. And, I think it's interesting. You get married with big goals and you're going to do big things. And a couple of years later, you have about $3,000 in credit card debt and a baby on the way. And you're like, yeah, we'll get to that. And we found ourselves going through a lot of different seasons of life, just getting by. And each year we had big plans, like 2000 and, how many of you guys have had like, okay, this year is going to be the year. 2019 is going to be my B, And it's interesting how you said that about 2018. And you said that the same thing about in January of 2017. And I realized every single year I was telling the year that it was going to be my baby, okay? But we found ourselves like on this hamster wheel of life that some people now try to sell me as the American dream. You ever walked up to somebody and been like, hey, how's it going? And giving them the old living the dream. And it's the most sarcastic, pathetic living the dream, because you know that it's now the American dream has become a joke. And I'm like, if this is the American dream, because I found myself at 33 years old owning my own business in Portland, Oregon. No, I didn't like wake up owning my own business. I had created this, okay? Going to work really hard, working 65 hours a week in my furniture business, small staff of about 15. And guys, it was tough. I found every single year I had put on about another 10 more pounds. I was spending less time with the woman that I married. I felt like I didn't even know or see my kids growing up. And as a father, when you have a business and from the outside, everything looks really good, like life is really good, and even you might have the boat in the driveway that's owned by the bank that you're 3 months behind on that payment and they're calling for it, and I can't sell it because I'm upside down on it. You got employees that deserve to be paid more than you're paying them, and literally you can't even make payroll some weeks. You're not seeing your kids. Your blood pressure's going through the roof. You finally have a come to Jesus moment and you just want to know how bad it is. And you realize that you're $220,000 in debt. You kind of have an oh God moment. I need a miracle. Well, unfortunately, my miracle was I needed to see how much I was worth dead, because I knew I had an insurance policy. And I do not say this like for shock value. I'm dead serious. I knew I had life insurance, and I knew I had a life insurance policy. And I opened the thing up and I wanted to know if there was a suicide clause, because I realized that I could no longer fulfill the needs for my family and my girls. And I'm like, I don't see light at the end of the tunnel. Now, what I found out later, my ladder was leaned up against the wrong tree. You ever tried to get something to work so hard and you pray for it and you believe in it and you're not afraid of hard work, but like, why isn't this thing, like, why am I not seeing fruit or traction here? That's what happened to me. And it went year after year, and it was like, God, this is your business. We'd show up to church on Sunday morning and, we'd walk in as a happy little family and the girls in their cute dresses, and people had no clue what was going on, because what do you talk about? Or maybe even leaders would say, leaders don't talk about stuff like that from stage, Doug. So keep that stuff to yourself. You need to have like one mentor that you can talk to about the real stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm kind of at a place of calling BS on this. Like, I feel like, am I the only one struggling? And what it made me feel like, yes, I am. Just like Facebook or Instagram today. I don't know if you pulled out your news feeds lately, but there's a lot of perfect people on Facebook. Anyone figure that one out? Yeah. I mean, perfect. And then you go to Instagram. I mean, people know how to do it, right? They will tell you exactly what they need to do. They will show you the best doctored up photo of their face with no wrinkles, no double chins, and then you meet them in person, you're like, was that your glamour shot? Or no, it's called the Instagram filter, okay? It's called whatever those stupid apps are. But we're living in this world that everyone on the front is like, I'm not saying it's a facade, because I think it's become the social norm to show up the best you can and deal with your stuff. So a little bit of I respect, but then you do have other people that are just putting it all out there and telling you way too much. And you're like, oh boy, drama zone. Okay, I'm gonna kind of move through this one. Or I'm gonna sit back and read the news feeds and eat popcorn on this one too, because sometimes, they can kind of bring some good humor, right? So but what happened was, at 33 years old, I'm $220,000 in debt, and that's unsecured debt. That doesn't include the lease on a building of about this size that I was locked into for 5 more years. 5 more years at $20,000 a month. $20,000 a month. And when I realized this, I'm like, okay, if I wasn't here, I went and met with the bankruptcy attorney. I realized you cannot bankrupt a personal guarantee on a lease. So I'm on the hook for another $1 million, 220 of it's unsecured. I'm now putting my employees, well, not just Christmas, because there wasn't much Christmas around our house, but I'm now putting my employees' payroll some weeks on a personal credit card. I'm not telling my wife what's going on because it's the man's job to deal with all this stuff, right? Right, wrong. I thought I could handle it. And I thought me handling it was maybe me not being here. And I realized that if I wasn't here, the lease had nothing to do with my wife and my kids. So $220,000, $750,000. If I wasn't here, $750,000 would take care of my wife and kids and at least set them up to win. They couldn't come after her for the business because it was all in my name. These are things you do when you're in a desperate situation. And in 2009 and 2008, I was in the most desperate situation of my entire life. And if you read the book, chapter 1 is, let's face it, life can suck sometimes, because you know what, it can. Number 2 is, I quit. It's okay to quit sometimes, as long as you're quitting on the right things. And people ask where the red chair comes from. It's because there's this red carpet in the back of my store. And I'll never forget, every morning I used to go into my furniture store and I would pray. And, sometimes you just get to the point of like, God, I suck. Here I am, send me. But what's left of me? What am I going to do? I didn't have it in me to end my life. But I didn't know what to do. And I just remember I fell to my knees one early morning about 5 a.m. and I just found myself pounding the floor. I was just saying, God, I quit. I'll go work at, and nothing against Taco Bell and people who work there, but I was like, I'll go work at Taco Bell and live in a 1-bedroom apartment just to have my family and my time back with my kids. That's all I want. I just want to be a dad. Whatever the American dream is, to me right now, it's just seeing my kids more often. I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack. I just want to be a little healthier, help. And I was crying out, I was bawling out. And literally, I'm not real big into audible voices because I think some people hear them all the time. And I think that's weird. You ever meet those people God told me this, and then God told me to buy a TV. And then God told me, dang, you and God jive about technology and everything. But I think once in a while we can feel something in our spirit, or we can just know something, or we can hear a voice in our head just say, Doug, I know I was done with this season a long time ago. Why have you still been contending and fighting me on it? And that's what I heard. Just, I was done with this season a long time ago. I've been waiting for you to get there. And it was 2009 that I was just okay, the get out of jail free card isn't coming. No one's going to bail me out of this situation. There's no insurance policy. If it's going to be, it's going to be up to me and God. Okay, so I what I had to do was I had to make a recommitment. And number 1 is, I want everyone to write this down. I gave you, now you guys know that I really am married. There's a picture of my wife on that card I gave you, right? No, she's not my model wife. That's my real wife. She still stayed with me through this whole season, all right? So pull out that note card, and if you're taking notes tonight, write this down. And if you're not taking notes tonight, write this down, okay? All right, did I get a chuckle, or is that okay? Okay? All right. Mark, I might need you back up here to fire them up again. They're getting a little soft, but he's thinking about coming. Don't make me call Mark back up here. He goes, okay, I'm in. All right. So number 1 is, nothing will change until you decide for it to change. Everything starts with making a decision. And that's the first thing I did. I made the personal decision that if it's going to be up to me, it's going to be up to me. Which is, living a life above the line is taking personal responsibility. Taking personal responsibility of saying, all right, I've made some poor decisions. I've put myself or my family in a rough place. But who's going to get me out of it? And it was me and God. We were in it together. Others of you might be in a place tonight where you're in between on something. Maybe it could be in a relationship. Okay, and I don't want to step on toes tonight, but I want to step on your toes. Because my question is, why do you have toes to step on? All right? People say, Doug, you push my buttons. Why do you have so many buttons to push? All right? Let's just get pushing and stepping on our toes tonight because, guys, this is about massive momentum. And how do we live a life on purpose until we deal with the stuff that's in the deep end of the pool? Okay? I could stand up here and, people buy my book sometimes. Either two people look at my book and they go, one is, oh, he's all about money. Actually, if you read the book, you realize it's not that much about money. But number two, for the rest of you that buy the book, because you want me to teach you how to make money, I'm talking, let's deal with what's going on in the heart, and y'all can make all the zeros you ever want. Okay? Most of us in this room, not most of us, all of us in this room are a spark plug change away from getting into massive momentum on whatever matters most to you. Some people have asked me, Doug, is this event, these massive momentums, are they like a church event? Yes, they are. Doug, are they going to be like all about your health business? Yeah, they're all about health. Doug, is your massive momentum event about money? Sure, yeah, they're about money. Well, you said yes to everything. What are they? Whatever matters most to you is you can apply what's going to be taught tonight. Because some of you are literally contending right now for a bigger and a better marriage. Like you're hanging on by a thread. And you know why it's hard? Because you haven't decided to be committed forever. Like you made a decision, but then it's recommitment to the original decision. Okay, 2009, I almost left my wife. I can talk really free tonight because my kids aren't here. Normally, my kids would be like standing there selling books and selling shirts and like be all around in here. I can get real unplugged tonight. Literally in 2009, I had so many addictions going on. I was looking in all the wrong places. Okay, I was not looking at my wife. And it starts to put stupid ideas in your head to start looking and chasing the wrong tail. Okay, and I started getting into fantasy land about what it would be like if. Okay? You know what it would be like if? When you recommit to what you committed to. And that's what I did. And some of us, it just might take a recommitment to our marriage for it to get better. Also, for some reason, while I'm on marriage stuff, getting coaching or counseling, I think counseling kind of keeps you regurgitating the same stuff. Coaching moves you forward. Everyone get a marriage coach. T and I have a marriage coach, okay, because we want to get better, okay? Everybody needs help sometimes. Anybody else have a marriage coach or a marriage counselor? Okay, about 4 of us. I would love for all of us to go to conferences, get around people, get a marriage coach. I have a financial coach, I have a health coach, I have a marriage coach. I have a lot of coaches. I have a speaking coach, okay? If you want more in any area of your life, you got to get someone who's been there and walked a mile in those shoes, okay? That's why I learn from Mark, okay? Today we sat at lunch and I'm sitting there like, hold up, slow down. Go back to what you just said. I'm constantly learning from people who's been in the fire. Because people that have been through the fire, they smell like smoke. And you can smell someone, or you can't smell someone who hasn't been through the fire. Because it's just lip service. You can get enough of that on Instagram sometimes. Okay, everyone telling you how, but they haven't done nothing to prove it. I want to talk to people that's been through the fire like Corey and Mark. Okay, everyone needs a coach in their life. So part of the biggest thing is when you're in between, or if you want massive momentum in the area that you want breakthrough in most, we've got to recommit to the decision or make a decision. Does that make sense? Everyone got that? Decide. And as you write down decide, I'm going to find some water here. As you write down decision, write it real big and leave yourself some space. Because as Mark comes up tonight, as Corey comes up, as Julie comes up, as we talk about some things tonight, new things are going to pop back into your mind about a decision. Okay, sometimes the decision can be like, that little thing in my life is not that big a deal. Yes, it is. Okay, because it's all the small things. Most of us, like I said, are a spark plug away from getting our engine going 100 miles an hour again. And it's the small things. It's not usually the big things, all right? So number 1 is decide. Number 2 is confront, okay? Everyone's got some things in our life that we got to confront. Chapter 4 in my book is confront the beast, okay? Confront the beast. The beast is whatever you're ignoring. Whatever you cannot, that you think you're the only one struggling with. The beast is whatever you're embarrassed to tell your friends and your family what's really going on. The beast could start off as just a sip of wine to help me go to sleep, that's turned into a bottle after the wife and kids go to bed, and then you take the bottle and you put it in the outside fridge and trash where nobody can see it to make sure you're the one that takes out the trash so nobody else knows what's going on, because it's really not a problem, but you know it's more than what it is. Sometimes the beast can be too many Reese's Pieces late at night out of the vending machine, okay? And you tell somebody, or it's going through Taco Bell and only getting 3 tacos, and you got the whole family something else, but you plowed through 3 of them, or 3 burritos in the car, killed the trash, and then came in and sat down and ate 3 tacos with the family. Hello? Okay, am I the only one? Okay, maybe everyone else out here has got it all figured out. Maybe y'all should be teaching this tonight. I'm talking about, this is real life, people. This is real stuff. These are the real things that goes on that we think like, it's not that big a deal. No, it is confronting. And I respect a friend who's in the room tonight that walked in, and he goes, Doug, I'm just going to be real with you. Mine and your beasts are the same. This food thing, man, it's tough. You're right, it is tough. And I first know exactly what that feels like. Because I've been 9 years, I've been confronting my beast of my physical health, and I'm not perfect. But I stand before you saying, you know what, I'm contending every single day to be the healthiest version of myself. My kids need me healthy. I can no longer blame it on my parents. I can't blame it on my grandparents who are extremely obese. I can't blame it on my friends, my pastor. Okay, it's not his fault he's not talking about it on Sunday morning at church. It's not his fault that all the Christians choose to let gluttony be the okay sin. Okay? I'm no longer gonna joke about, hey, let's all go to the buffet after church. No, it's killing us. It's killing my kids. And I'm seeing my patterns begin to duplicate in them. And some of you guys are just like, holy crap, Mark, I might take you up. I might walk out of here. This dude's nuts. But you know what? I'm nuts about getting our lives in order. Because our kids need us to contend and confront some of this stuff. Because I'm going to tell you this, if you don't confront it, your kids will have to. Okay? I tell you, I don't think this is on Facebook Live tonight, but it doesn't matter. I found out some crazy, crazy stuff about my family about 1.5 years ago that I had no clue, but it put all the pieces together. It also makes very clear sense while my marriage with Tia and I, our 3rd year was so hard. Okay? Because I didn't know it until just recently that my dad and my mom went through a pretty rough season on year 1 and 2 and 3. And my dad was dealing with some stuff that he did not tell me until right now. We found out about it. I give my dad full grace. Please, don't hear, this is not my dad's fault. But had I known, had my dad come to me, like now I can go to my boy Phoenix and say, listen, son, in year 1, 2, and 3, your dad and your grandpa, and probably great grandpa dealt with this. We got to be prepared for this beast, okay? Because that's when we recommit to the original decision or ask for accountability in these type of areas. You guys see what I'm talking about? Hello, I'm in a church. Can I get an amen? Amen. Woo, preacher. All right. Kind of preaching. I don't like to preach at you. Just talking about the real stuff. Okay, so number 1 is decide. Number 2, confront. Confront the beast. Identify, write down, confront. There's little things. It could be confront more consistency in the gym. It could be confront, getting up early every day and having some quiet time and some meditation or some prayer time by yourself. It could be something bigger that nobody else knows that you're struggling with. It is what it is, but it's not going away. It's like Uncle Frank. He shows up about every 6 months, doesn't he, at the wrong time. Everyone's got an Uncle Frank in their life, right? He at least shows up at Thanksgiving, right? Right? These beasts are like Uncle Frank, man. They just kind of come out of nowhere, and you're like, go away. And we try to deal with it in private, and it just doesn't work. All right, number 3 is then we can start to create. And this was powerful. Because for the longest time, my coach would say, Doug, what do you want? And I said, I don't want to be 70 pounds overweight any longer. And then he would say, well, I know what you don't want, but what do you want? I don't want to be out of breath when I play basketball with my guys. And he's like, okay, that's what you don't want. What do you want? I don't want to be $220,000 in debt. Okay, what do you want? If I ask you right now, what do you want in your health? Do you know what you want, or are you more clear on what you don't want? Most of us, and it's not your fault, most of us know what we don't want. Yep. We don't want to be in debt anymore. We don't want to be broke. We don't want to be missing out on our kids' sporting activities. What do you want? I want you to go out. A coach of mine asked me, Helen Irwin, she asked me about 5 months ago. She goes, Doug, I want you to go out 25 years from right now, and I want you to describe your life, your living. 25 years, describe it in detail. And I'm like, can we just go with maybe 5 months? I'm like, honestly, Helen, I've never thought about it that way. She goes, start partnering with your future self of who is Doug Wood 25 years from right now. Where's he living? What's he doing? What's his character like? What's his health like? What's his financial situation like? What kind of grandpa is he, if he's even a grandpa? You see what I'm saying? And when we decide to start creating our life versus reacting to our family, okay, I'm going to pick on somebody. I'm going to pick on Italians for a minute. Julie, don't hate me, okay? Okay, you ever get into an argument or have a conversation with an Italian and they say, don't get me going, I'm Italian, right? Right? Because they're a little more like, okay? Well, I've got other families I talk to and they're like, Doug, you don't understand. Like my family shows love with food. Well, maybe your family is showing death with food. No, I'm freaking serious. Because that's just the way our family is. Well, who's going to be the one that changes it? Because each one of our family and our generations, like I have so many blessings that have been passed on from my parents. So many blessings. Entrepreneurial spirit, hardworking, pointed me to Jesus, okay? Taught me how to make money. Could never keep it, but they did teach me how to make it, all right? So I realized that we got to accept the blessings of our past, but we also have to decide the areas that no longer are welcome in our future. Okay, I'm thankful for my family because, however, multiple generations of divorce ends right here. Okay? It's just this obesity, it ends in 2019. Okay? Now, it may not be cleaned up for 2 more generations, but we're going to start the process right here because I'm picturing a healthy family. I'm picturing an abundant family in 2025. And I want to invite you in the world to start creating. And here in a little while, and Mark might touch on it, we're going to talk about contending versus struggling. Okay? When we start pointing to what we want, we're contending for a better marriage. We're contending for healthy finances. We're contending for our physical health. I'm contending every single day. I do not stand up here saying, Doug got it all figured out, Church Boy to Millionaire, read it and you'll be a millionaire. That's not what it's about. This is me opening my life up, and if you've read it or downloaded on Audible, I tell you every personal situation, not every, but pretty much every personal situation I've gone through to hopefully you understand. And I'm not standing here telling you how to. I'm saying I'm in this life with you, and I'm figuring it out, and here are the things that are working for me. Does that make sense? Is that helpful? Yeah. Okay, decide, confront, create.